Expectancy violations theory is a theory of communication that analyzes how individuals respond to unanticipated violations of social norms and expectations. This theory suggests that people hold expectations above the nonverbal behavior of others. This theory predicts and explains the effects of nonverbal behavior violations on an interpersonal communication outcomes such as attraction, credibility, persuasion, and smooth interactions. Human interactions are strongly governed by expectations which, if violated, are arousing and trigger an appraisal process that may be moderated by the rewardingness of the violator. Violation interpretations and evaluations determine whether they are positive or negative violations. Positive violations are predicted to produce more favorable outcomes rather than negative violations which produce less favorable outcomes. The positive and negative confirmations, respectively, can dictate how the relationship goes further. Many of the theory's propositions are supported empirically. Some contrary findings have led to revision of the theory, but the theory has expanded to several kinds of nonverbal violations, including personal space, eye contact, pressure ties, things like that. And the theory also spawned the investigation of meanings out of actions and violations of the kinds of arousal that violations provoke. The theory was the theory was proposed by Judy K. Burgoon in the 1970s and continued through the 80s and the 90s. Nonverbal expectancy violations theory was the original name. Wasn't the original name, but was the original research studying proxemics. The theory is an interpersonal communication theory that makes the counterintuitive claim that violations of expectations are sometimes preferable to confirmations of expectations. It also distinguishes between positive and negative violations, whereas most advice from communicators is to avoid violations of expectations. But this theory proposes that positive violations can produce desirable results. It was initially formulated to account for the communicative effects of proxemics violations during interpersonal and group interaction. These proxemics refers to the organization, use, and interpretation of space and distance. An anthropologist named Hall from 1959 designated proxemics as one of the hidden dimensions of culture, a sort of solid language that's used across cultures and expresses well-understood messages. The expectation violation theory arose out of an effort to reconcile conflicting views of proxemics and human interactions. Throughout 40 years, the theory evolved, extending to other nonverbal behaviors and applied to contexts ranging from interviews, interpersonal conversations, to persuasive discourse, all the way to marital interactions. One of the theoretical traditions I saw in this theory is the socio-psychological tradition. This tradition is based on expression, interaction, and influence. It's about cause and effect relationships that can be discovered through observation. Within expectancy violation theory, it relates as a cause effect relationship with the expectancy being the cause and the violation being the effect. If a person didn't internally draw up expectations for the person that they are interacting with, then there would be no problem if someone did something that would violate these expectations. If the expectations never existed, then there would be no violation. Another theoretical tradition that I saw present in this theory is the socio-cultural tradition. This tradition is based on the reproduction of social order, but reality can be construed through and micro level interaction processes. Within this theory, there is a social order that is created, there's a social order that is created and followed. And if any part of this order is broken, then the violation of the expectation occurs. It is expected to follow the rules of the social order or whatever boundaries are set, whether it is set publicly or not. Someone breaking the rules of the order can cause for a recreation of the rules, which is the reproduction of social order. Some of the critiques that came about this theory is that the theory takes expectations to be negatively influenced rather than being able to be a positive thing. Another critique is that expectations are vaguely described in the theory, like they don't give any specific examples of expectations that could be brought about. Also, expectations are shown to be more for unknown people more than people related to you, whereas in reality, expectations are more with people you know well rather than people you don't know well, because you wouldn't expect anything from somebody you wouldn't know. Another critique of the theory is the assumption that expectancy violations are mostly highly consequential acts, negative in nature, and cause uncertainty to increase between communicators. In actuality, research shows expectancy violations vary in frequency, seriousness, and violence, meaning that no violation of an expectancy can be categorized as just one or the other. It has a various amount of things that it can result to. It can be positive, negative, or even neutral if the violation is can be categorized as that.